Buenos Dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it, you already know. Like a motherfucking smack addict. Bye, bye, bye. And in Menudo style in a direct fashion, we're going to get straight into the content of the day. But before we do, let's hit that like and subscribe button. Ding! Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directed in the direction of the dope content that I'm kicking. And I highly appreciate all the support, man. We're going up on this channel. It's all because of you. And for that, I can say I'm very humbled and very much appreciative. So Little Dave gets arrested, man. And for those of you that don't know my history with Little Dave or who Little Dave is, right? Little Dave is the former national president of the Mongol Motorcycle Club. Okay, now the Mongols got an extensive history and are pretty deep in the state of California. And throughout all the West Coast, they have chapters everywhere, okay? And for a long time, the Mongols have been in a battle with the federal government over their patch. They've been in a battle with the federal government over their name. I mean, the feds have given them so many problems. And they do this to a lot of motorcycle clubs that they consider motorcycle gangs, but we know are clubs, okay? Little Dave took over for Doc Cavazos, who was the former president at one point in time, who actually got a bad reputation because he was misdirecting the club and the organization and group as a whole. Basically, he was leading them in the wrong direction. Doc Cavazos was, he was recruiting ex-gang members, people that didn't even have motorcycles, people that didn't know how to ride, okay? You know, when it comes to most motorcycle clubs, a lot of these guys, you know, one of the main rules is they got to have a bike or they got to at least know how to ride or they got to be interested in riding, can be taught to ride. But that guy, Doc Cavazos, was actually recruiting former Southsiders, former gang members, people that were in bad standings. And, you know, a lot of the club felt disgruntled with this. But when someone as powerful as Doc Cavazos was in the leadership role, you kind of just got to grit your teeth and roll with the punches. Eventually, his time came. He was outed. He eventually told on his former, you know, brothers and went to the feds and disappeared. Went and did his time and he was out the way. You know, took a lot of people with him, unfortunately. That, of course, put the Mongols on the feds' radar even more, and they started to watch him. Now, along came Little Dave Santillan. And Little Dave, you know, from everything that I've heard from Little Dave, I've had conversations with Little Dave. You know, was privy enough to sit down and talk to him, pick his brain. He seemed like a good, solid, smart individual with a drinking problem. And I'm gonna be totally honest with you, right? I have nothing bad to say about Little Dave, man. Like I said, I met him over a cold bowl of Fruit Loops. And I didn't like the purple ones. It just was what it was. But I will say that the conversations we did have, he seemed pretty solid to me. Okay, whatever things he had going on between himself and his brothers in his club, that was his business. And I didn't get involved in it really, you know, because that was Mongol business. And unless you sit at that table, unless you're part of that organization, then you don't know, or it's none of your business what goes on within their household, right, within their clubhouse. One thing I will say for sure is I got a lot of homeboys that actually ride with the Mongols or that I know of that ride with the Mongols. And I respect the Mongol organization, man, the club. You know, I always have. I get a lot of support from the Mongols for my channel. And I think we see eye to eye when it comes to, you know, we just want to be brown. We just want to be able to do our own thing. And there it is there. Okay. So a while back, you know, after Little Dave took over the Mongols, he was, he reigned in the club. He did a lot of good for the club. Everything that I've heard, like a lot of people say, you know, Little Dave did a lot of good for the club. He got it organized. You know, at a time when they were fighting the feds, he was on the forefront, the spokesman doing that, as he should be, being a national president. He was well respected within the club. But there were always whispers and rumors about Little Dave because of an incident that took place between the Mongols and the Hells Angels. And an incident where it was caught on tape. There was an incident in a bar, in a casino. It was caught on tape. Everyone knows about it, the big casino fight between the Hells Angels and the Mongols, where everyone handled their business. And there was a shooting that happened and all kinds of different things. People got booked for that. But you could distinctly see on that tape Little Dave taking off running. Now, Of course, people have asked him about it, and he claims that he was going this way when he should have been going that way and whatever. But at the end of the day, man, that seemed like a cowardly act, and people called him on it. People were kind of aware that little Dave maybe didn't have it in him. You know, again, you can't judge a book by one incident. You know, maybe he was being pulled in a direction. Maybe they knew he was next man up, so they were like, hey, bro, let's get you up out of here. And so he didn't want to get up out of it. But you got to give a man the benefit of the doubt. It's his story. You got to let him tell it. But anyways, that left a bitter taste in a lot of his people's mouth. Like, is this dude a coward? Are we being led by a coward? But again, you have to look at it the other way, the art of war, man. Hey, let this guy be the forefront. Let him be the face. Let him think he's in a position of power. Because at the end of the day, man, usually the guy who's in a leadership position is going to be the first one to get knocked off when the feds come. That's just how it is. Anyways, a couple years ago, about 3 years ago, there was a tape that pops up, a videotape that pops up on YouTube that was recorded by David's wife. Okay, Annie records this video, and the video shows him drunk, inebriated, and in that video, little Dave is talking about an exit. I need an exit strategy, right? He's sniveling, he's crying. He needs an exit strategy, or he needs to come up with another exit strategy because this Fed that he was actually close to, which he claims was not a handler, but a lot of people claim was actually retiring, and so in a fit of being drunk and being accused of being an adulterer, his wife recorded this video. For whatever reason, she decided to, you know, she was upset at that time, and it made him look very bad. It made him look bad to the point where they started to question him within his group, within the club, right? Ultimately, there's a lot of people that believe little Dave told on the club or was assisting the federal government in some capacity, and there's a lot of people that don't believe he did that. That believe that he was utilizing the feds for his own benefit. Whatever you choose to believe, whatever I choose to believe, it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. Because if you're not a Mongol, if you're not part of that club, those are the only people besides little Dave's family that it would affect. Obviously, they felt whatever way they had because he got pushed out bad as the president. He is no longer the president of the Mongols. It just is what it is, man. When all that shit went down, I was contacted by little Dave. This is a true fucking story. And I got videos to prove it. But I was contacted by little Dave. Somehow I got a friend, a good friend that's actually a Mongol, myself and another gentleman that, you know, we were contacted by little Dave, and he wanted to do an interview. At that time, my channel, my very first channel, had just got shut down. There was a lot of mystery there going on with it. I didn't know who shut it down. Was it the baby mama that shut it down? Was it the homie that shut it down? Was it this guy? I didn't know. I don't care now. But it got shut down. And so I had no platform to give him. And what little Dave wanted to do was he wanted to prove his innocence by speaking his piece on the platform. I had nothing to give him, so I gave it to the guys that I was associating with at that time. And somewhere in the meantime, in between time of that actual interview that started to go on, little Dave cut it short for whatever his reasons were. And that was it. We did have a conversation after that, and it went where it went, and that was cool. Did I believe little Dave in what he was saying? No. That's the honest to God truth. I believe he was doing damage control, and I believe that there was more to meets the eye. Am I going to sit here and call little Dave a rat and a snitch? Absolutely not. I never seen paperwork on that man to say the contrary. I've never seen anything solid on that man to say he was telling on people. I'm just going to say the way that it felt talking to him felt like he was trying to do damage control for whatever reason. His wife was definitely involved, and it just tripped me out when she was involved with the phone conversation was, we're here because of you. Because of this video you put out. This video she actually sent to his club to expose him as being a rat or a snitch, man. And it did a lot of damage to this man. Mentally, emotionally, you know, and now physically. So I say all that to say this. That was a back history of myself with little Dave. I've talked to him. I do know the man, and that's it. The other day, on the 28th, he gets popped in Pasadena. Now, there's a lot more to this story that I cannot tell you. That I know, that I'm privy to. And the reason I can't tell you because it's none of my fucking business. And of course, this is an ongoing case. And I don't know what I think I know. I don't know. So cops don't come asking me shit because I don't know. But I'll tell you this. The man was in Pasadena with some residents, meaning he was there with just some regular people, some civilians, normal people, friends of his. And for whatever reason, he runs into somebody that he knows from the past that ain't feeling him being there. Okay? That's all I'll say about that. Who they are, who these gentlemen were, or what they're affiliated with doesn't matter. Okay? But they see him, there's a confrontation, there's words. And little Dave gets sucked in his whole jaw piece, right? They felt, hey, you know, this guy's disrespecting by being here. Now, you got to understand, little Dave, albeit he's a civilian now, he's out of the club. His former club members or people that are associated or people that just believe that little Dave was a rat or whatever, they're always going to be on him. Meaning there's certain places you can and can't go. Myself, not being in the best of standings with my people, right? I always got to keep my shit on swivel. That's just how it is. You know, anytime, and it doesn't matter if you're active, non-active, in good standings, anytime you're out somewhere, man, you got to be aware of where you're at. I'm sure little Dave was aware. He was aware enough, allegedly, to be in possession of a box cutter, because that's what they're saying he used. Anyways, he goes in there, for whatever reason, these guys pull up, they're not feeling little Dave and what he's got going on, and someone hits him in his mouth. Little Dave allegedly pulls out a box cutter and hits a dude in his throat, right? Now, when I first got told this, I got told by a YouTuber, man, that's a good friend of mine. He's like, hey, and I was trying to vet it. In the middle of trying to vet it and figure out if it was really real, because I could have had this myself and Dubs. He brought this to us. We could have been through this out there, but we kind of just stood back a little bit. And as I'm trying to vet it, then I see it popping up on other people's shit. And I said, okay, all right, so it really happened. I find the newspaper article. He sends it to me. Cool, whatever, right? I'll do it tomorrow. You know, let everyone get their shit out the way, and I'll do what I do. And so anyways, little Dave allegedly cuts this guy's throat or is accused of it and gets snatched up. He gets arrested for it. Now, this guy gets taken to the hospital. This all went down in Pasadena, Pasadena being in the Los Angeles area. And it is what it is. You know, one thing I can say about little Dave is he's still out there. He's still in Southern California. You know, he's actually from Temple City. So he's still in his area. He's still in his backyard. He's not got ran off or ran away from where he's from. I got to respect it. Now, when I did talk to little Dave, he didn't seem shook or scared. Seemed more on his stance that he just wanted to prove to his club and to everyone that he wasn't a snitch, that he didn't give up people. Now, if you remember that tape, you know, an exit strategy, when I hear exit strategy, that means someone's got to get the fuck, they're trying to get the fuck on down the road, right? But in the way he said it, and maybe he was just drunk and it came out that way, but obviously, you know, there's people that seen that the way I seen it was like, wow, bro, you were like the feds were your resort to get you up out of here. Like, what are you have to give them something to get an exit strategy, bro. It ain't just for free, right? And I remember when we talked, I asked him straight up, I said, what's up with the exit strategy, bro? Not that it mattered to me, it was going to change my view on him. Whether he was telling or not, I'm just trying to get an exclusive from a guy like that was high up there in an organization or club, right? So it didn't, like, I'm not going to fucking go and rob Sizzler with them. Like, we were never going to interact like that. But, you know, coming from a standpoint of a hood reporter, coming from a standpoint of, you know, a vlogger and a content creator, like, this was good content for me. So I was just trying to get a feel for the man. And having come from the streets my whole life and been in gangs and prison groups and things like that, I knew what time it was, right? And he was stuttering like a motherfucker. And I was like, wow. And his wife was changing the story for him as they went. She was, oh, no, remember this? And then it was this and it was that. And I was just like, wow, right? And that led me to believe, like, all right, bro, you're trying to utilize whatever platform to clean your shit up. That's cool. If I could assist you, I will. Because I don't want to see no man victimized or hurt. But at the end of the day, it didn't work, man. I know he went on other channels and tried. And I've seen him on several channels since then. And, you know, I've seen people say, hey, no, he didn't tell. Look, here's the paper. And people say, oh, he did. And it was just crazy. But, you know, if he pulled up to this bar and he's arrested. He's booked. He's looking at attempted murder charges. I'm sure those charges will get dropped or reduced down to assault with a deadly weapon. It looks like Lil Dave's going to go do some time. So what's going to happen when he does time? He's no good in the club anymore. Basically, he's like dropped out of the club. They pushed him out. He got removed, right? So as far as the club goes, he can't go to the Mongol pod and go chill. It ain't going to happen in the jail. He's not affiliated with the Southerners or Southsiders. And of course, if he did tell, they're going to check paperwork. And if there's any skepticism or something that says he told, then he's not going to be able to associate with them as a resident, because that's exactly what Little Dave would be. If Little Dave went to the California prison system for an attempted murder or an assault with a deadly weapon, he would function up under the Southern umbrella, the Southern car, as a resident. But if he has telling on his record, if they're skeptical about him, more than likely, Little Dave will be placed on the SNY yards. Okay, the sensitive need yard, because he has a sensitive need. The sensitive need is wherever he goes, they're going to kick his ass. That's the sensitive need, or put some metal in him. Now, Little Dave obviously is with the business. Okay, it boggles my mind that guys, they get into it and they expect because someone falls off or someone gets kicked out of a motorcycle club or someone is no longer in good standings with the fellas or whatever, that they forget the ability or they lose the ability to fucking pull weapons or to handle their business. Doesn't work that way, okay? Motherfuckers will still handle their business. That's how it's always been. That's a perfect example of what went down. Again, this is all allegedly, because in Pasadena, what happened that night, we don't know if Little Dave was involved or if he was there and they snatched him up. Now, I mean, you could fucking pretty much put shit together and understand what the hell was going on that night, right? But at the end of the day, it's never signed in concrete until it's signed in concrete, and he has his day in court. So I'm not going to say whether he did or didn't do this crime. I'm just going to say he is arrested and it is alleged that he did this. Again, if he does get stretched out and go to the California system, I don't believe they'll get him for attempted murder. I actually caught a case when I was in prison for stabbing a person, and it was cutting their throat as well. And true stories. And they charged me with attempted murder at first, but to prove attempted murder, they had to prove that I intentionally tried to murder this guy by causing catastrophic injury that could lead to death, right? I read the legal terms because I was fighting for my life, 30 years to life, right? Ultimately, I just was cutting him up, and it just happened to nick him a little bit on the, right under the jawline, right? And his ear and everything just. And so what happened was I was able to lessen that charge, get that attempted murder dropped, and get an attempted assault too. I was cool with that, right? Stretched me out another 3-4 years. Vámonos, let's go. So I understand the situations of what it takes. So I believe that they'll take his charge and they'll lessen it and drop it down. But still, any time is ugly time for him, because he's not going to be able to go and function. And having the notoriety of who you are. Now, if he does go to the SNY yards, he'll be all right. He'll be all right, man. Everyone over there is not tripping on who he is, not tripping if he told or whatever. It just is what it is. Now, I think that's what will ultimately happen to him. If he's convicted again, he'll have his day in court, and maybe, just maybe, if he was working with the feds, that'll help him out, and he'll be up out of there. But I don't know. But anyways, so the gist of all this shit is that Little Dave was arrested over the weekend in Pasadena, for what is considered a melee or a fight. And there was a box cutter pulled out and someone got their throat cut, and Little Dave was the person they arrested for it. Again, man, these guys that are out there, they'll protect themselves. They'll protect themselves, definitely. Obviously carrying a box cutter around, that's probably something he did on the daily or normally, because he expected to have some type of confrontation. There's guys, he came from the biker world. This guy was in the biker world for 20-something years and worked his way up to a leadership position. And there's always people that are like, man, he was a leader. He had to shed blood, or he didn't do it. I don't know what Little Dave did to achieve that position. He's a very smart individual. That I do know, just through our conversations. We were going tit for tat on the questions and answers. But best believe you don't become part of a roughneck biker club, a gang, or anything without having to put in some type of work, without having to do something, right? Does it make you more of a man because you put in more work than others? No. It just makes you more recognized within that group. No, it's never good to make victims, but you never forget it, right? And obviously what they're saying is Little Dave didn't. So Little Dave, David Santillan, man, is arrested in Pasadena for an attempted murder charge. Did he do it or didn't he? We're not here to judge. Just here to tell you what went down, right? It's crazy. And believe me, man, a lot of people are going to read more into it. There's going to be content creators that give you more details on it and why it happened and who was sent and this and this and that. I am not him. Everyone is innocent until they're proven guilty. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive for what I truly believe in, and that's the betterment of all people. Bang, bang.